nor the Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors have formally withdrawn that false allegation. They haven't acted on it either, and they obviously won't because A, it is false, and B, if they actually did try to make a false declaration to the police or Quebec Crown prosecutors, well, then they would be guilty of a crime themselves, and they know that very well, which is why they have not proceeded with that false accusation. You know, they haven't had me charged with blasphemous libel because then they'd be committing a crime themselves if they did, at least on that particular basis. I mean, they want to accuse me of blasphemous libel for making fun of the fact that Canadian Unitarian Council Executive Director Mary Bennett made a hilarious goof by using Kurt Vonnegut Jr.'s picture of an asshole to symbolize the inclusiveness, or I should say the alleged or self-professed inclusiveness of the Unitarian Universalist religious community by inserting the asterisk between the two U's of UUism and thus making an ass out of the UU movement, as it were. Well, then you'd have a much better chance of actually being truthful. Although even then, it would actually be open to some question as to whether or not making fun of the U asterisk U acronym actually constitutes blasphemous libel. But it would be closer to the truth than the unfounded allegation that I've made, unfounded and vicious allegations. The effective ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association and Congregation engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape because not only have a certain number of ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association engaged in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, but some of them have actually been convicted of pedophilia and rape, or even a combination of both. So, actually, as far as the combination of both goes, I am aware of a Unitarian Universalist religious educator that was convicted of a variety of crimes, including sodomizing a teenage boy that he had adopted. You know, depending on, you know, how young the boy was when this Unitarian Universalist religious educator adopted him, and depending on when the sodomy that he was convicted of took place, this Unitarian Universalist religious educator could also be described as a pedophile rapist. Most ironically, the one Unitarian Universalist who I did describe as a pedophile rapist, because that's exactly what he was. He was convicted of the forcible rape of preteen girls who were no older than 12 years old at the times that the rapes took place. Hey, Harvey.
Hi.
Do enjoy the sermon about dialogue from your minister that refuses to engage in dialogue. Should be fun, eh? Yeah, I think I will be holding this hypocrisy sign up today. So yes, as I mentioned in my conversation with the woman coming to the Unitarian Church of Montreal for the first time, today's sermon, delivered by Reverend Diane Rollert, is all about engaging in dialogue with the other. You know, it's all about, according to the blurb on the website, you know, listening to the things you don't want to hear. Well, that's interesting because when Reverend Diane Rollert became the minister of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, I sent her an email encouraging her to engage in dialogue with me because I was of the opinion that she had almost certainly been lied to by the leadership of the church regarding this conflict, and that it would be a good idea for her to hear my side of the story so she could determine how best to handle the situation that had been left to her by the negligence of the leadership of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. In that letter, I did warn her that there were some actions that I held in reserve. That's pretty well an exact quote. I said there were some actions that I've held in reserve. In other words, there were some actions that I could have taken earlier before she became minister that I decided not to waste on. Good morning.
Well, today, huh?
Yeah. I won't make any jokes about what Ralph Waldo Emerson called corpse cold Unitarianism. But I have to say that there's a lot of cold hearts in that church there. So, yes, I do that sometimes when somebody mentions the cold. And it is, in fact, rather cold today. Not bone-chillingly cold, but definitely not warm or even just cool. It is a cold day and also quite windy, which is adding to the wind chill factor. And you know, when somebody speaks about how cold it is outside the church here, I like to make the point that they're pretty darn cold on the inside too, in terms of their cold emotions, as it were, their cold-heartedness, their ability to totally ignore a protester for over 15 years now. So, getting back to the issue of Unitarian Universalist hubris, and specifically the bullshit, blasphemous libel allegation against me by Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors on behalf of the Unitarian Universalist Association. The one Unitarian Universalist who I did in fact describe as a pedophile rapist was not even a Unitarian Universalist minister, to the best of my knowledge. The person in question, Richard Buell, from First Parish, Norwell, as I understand it, was a Unitarian Universalist layperson, not a Unitarian Universalist minister. So the UUA and Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors basically made a inept error in accusing me of making unfounded and vicious allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, because prior to that cease and desist demand letter being delivered to me, I had not actually spoken about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in the despicable crime of pedophilia, which doesn't mean to say that I couldn't or can't. In fact, I have every intention of doing so soon. I made a New Year's resolution at the beginning of this year that I would talk about a couple of cases of Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia. Well, I might have broadened that out to religious educators as well, but nonetheless, prior to receiving that letter, I was actually aware of some cases of Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in pedophilia, being accused of pedophilia, and even being convicted of pedophilia. But I hadn't actually blogged about them for various reasons. So as a result of the UUA making that false accusation, I intend to blog about the people in question. So, as I said, we're off to a good start this morning. Good morning. And things are quite restricted here, physically speaking, in terms of this fence, which is the first time that it's been up since I began protesting. As we can see on the other side of the fence, there's this mess of construction materials and so on. So I guess the fence was put up to prevent people from walking into that area, but it does restrict the sidewalk considerably. It makes it impossible to step off.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, the gentleman who just said good morning basically got into a hissy fit with me some weeks ago when I was running some video on the tripod, basically running a video where I'm in it speaking to the camera, and he got all upset, and demanded that I shut off the camera. I didn't want his kids in the video, even though we'd only see the back of them if they were. I actually complied with his rather arrogant and aggressive demand, even though I didn't really have to. But I did make the point to the fellow later that he seemed to be, very concerned about his young children appearing in the background of one of my videos of my protest, but he didn't seem to be terribly concerned about the fact that Unitarian Universalists try to cover up pedophilia with legal bullying. And on that note, we're just about done here. Coming up to 29 minutes and 48 seconds. So